yesterday's deadly plane crash, we must also remember the challenges that our families are facing due to a lack of SNAP benefits brought on by the Trump administration. This is a program that was under attack early by the president following the big, ugly bill. That's why in June I wrote a letter to Kentucky's congressional delegation urging them to consider the harmful impacts of this legislation and how it would hit our people, because SNAP is crucial for Kentucky. In our Commonwealth, over 600,000 Kentuckians rely on SNAP. That's 1 of 8 of our people, many of which are kids. These families need this support to avoid going hungry. But on October 1st, the federal shutdown began, and this now, today, marks the longest shutdown in the history of our country. From the start of the shutdown, the president made it clear that this program would be at risk. In fact, the Trump administration stopped the federal government from paying out SNAP benefits for November and also stopped states from flowing state funds through SNAP to pay out those benefits. And that's despite the USDA's website saying that he could fund SNAP benefits even in a shutdown. Americans should never be a negotiating tool. And I am committed to taking action to do what we can to stand up for our people. So on October 20th, I announced that while we were exploring options for SNAP, we had 2 updates that would help many who rely on this program. First, after learning our area development districts had exhausted the nearly $10 million in funding for senior meals, I announced that we were able to move $9.1 million to help fund that program. It took a lot of work to find a solution. Thankfully, we did, and the General Assembly leadership agreed to move forward with that plan. That day, I also announced that for November during the shutdown, that we could cover the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, or TANF program, that the federal government was not going to fund. That was about $12 million that's helping our people, many of which also get SNAP benefits. Following that update on October 24th, we received a letter from the USDA confirming what had already been threatened. The letter said it was suspending all November 2025 benefit payments for SNAP for approximately 42 million Americans that rely on them, and that the suspension would continue until sufficient federal funding was provided. Let me be clear. The president has both the funding and the authority to fund SNAP during a shutdown. In fact, every other president in every other shutdown has done so. People going hungry in this instance is a choice that this president has made. So on October 28th, I joined leaders from 24 other states and the District of Columbia in a lawsuit challenging the Trump administration over what I believed was an unlawful decision to terminate SNAP benefits. And Friday of last week, a federal judge agreed with us. They said the president had to either partially or fully fund SNAP for this month and moving forward as long as funds were available. And separately, in a different lawsuit brought by cities, a court said the president needed to fully fund SNAP benefits. But knowing it would still take time for the benefits to roll in, and knowing what the delays were going to be, and being worried that the president would do what he has announced, only partially fund SNAP, I signed an executive order directing $5 million to Feeding Kentucky food banks. Those dollars are going to be used by Feeding Kentucky. They're going to be distributed through the network of 7 regional food banks that work with all the others. Together, these food banks and their nearly 900 local partner agencies, food pantries, soup kitchens, and community programs serve all 120 counties. Only yesterday did our Cabinet for Health and Family Services receive the guidance from the USDA that partial payments will be made, though that came around the same time President Trump posted on Truth Social saying SNAP benefits wouldn't go out. And that's a nice tamed-down summary of that post. But today we've received confirmation from the federal government that they will begin processing payments tomorrow. Kentucky is ready, willing, and able to work around the clock as quickly as possible once funding is received. It's important to remember SNAP benefits are typically staggered through the month, and therefore payments will be too. But I can assure you our teams will be working day and night to make it happen. But knowing the benefits aren't there yet, and recognizing the strain on families and on food banks who are stepping up more than usual, I'm taking another step today. I have authorized the Kentucky National Guard, the best guard in the country, to to assist in staffing